Five or Flop, a podcast for the best and worst historical fiction has to offer. I'm your host, Grace.
And I'm Erin, and each week we'll be reading a different historical fiction play to see if there are five or a flop.
Our theme for season 6 is All the World's a Stage, and this week, the penultimate week, we are reading Frost Nixon by Peter Morgan.
How did we get here so fast? Why did we put this one at this point in this season? I feel like it really could have broken up all those Catholic Church books.
No, genuinely. It should have gone in the middle, but it is a place of honor to be where it is.
I think so.
But congratulations, Peter.
You know, you made it big on the pod. You made it big on the pod. Before we get into everything, what is new with you? You have a big week coming up.
Yes, I am gearing up to go to Leeds in England. So frankly, I am not at the stage where I'm thinking about what I'm going to be doing while I'm there, which is attending a wedding. I am just fully in preparation mode for surviving the flight. Because it's a...
What book are you going to read off to Benadryl?
Oh my gosh. Exactly. In the grand tradition, I should bring the luminaries. No, but it's a 7.5-hour flight. I have not been on a long flight in a long time. In fact, I don't know if I've ever been on a flight that's that long.
Haven't you gone to England before?
Yes, but this time I can't fly direct because I'm going to Leeds. Oh. So I'm actually flying to Amsterdam, and then
okay, you're right.
Yeah, and then I'm getting on like an hour-long connection.
Well, how long is a direct flight to England?
I feel like when I flew to London, it was like 6 hours.
Okay,
yeah.
So back to last week, doable for Sunday in the Park with George.
Yeah.
That's a long weekend trip if we really swing it.
We got to take a day or two off work if we make that happen.
Yes,
But no, like, I am, like, downloading books. I am downloading movies. I am figuring out what's my optimal sweater to bring. I am, like, where am I going to buy my snacks? Like...
Yeah, you do got to do the snack prep work.
I know. So I'm just, like, fully locked in on that. And then I'm going to get there and realize, actually, oh, I am in England with my boyfriend, attending a supremely nice wedding, and it's going to be 70 degrees and sunny every day.
And you're going to buy me tea.
And I'm going to buy tea for you. I can say this because actually it's not going to come out until I get back. Actually, I'm going to buy a birthday present for Jen.
Fabulous.
Well, you may or may not be the recipient of a birthday present, but I can't tell you that.
That's true. As another August birthday.
Of course. August is a busy month for us, birthday-wise.
August is a big birthday month. And it's also because Jen and I both... Well, last year we did the joint Survivor party, but usually we each do our own thing as we were doing that.
Yes.
Guess you don't like Jen that much because you're not going. No, I'm kidding. You're going to be in England.
I appreciate, though, you do have spaced out enough birthdays to be able to have easily 2 separate events.
Even though both events this year involve karaoke.
Because karaoke, it's just the name of the game.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I want to do is sing karaoke.
Should we duet a song from Sunday in the Park with George?
Oh my gosh. Everyone gets so mad when everyone's like drunk and ready to turn up and we get up to do finishing the hat.
That's our song. You know, Grace was just saying to me about how, like, when it's time for everyone to go, she'll virtue signal and get everyone to leave by singing Champagne Problems.
Yes, because it's not a party song.
It could be finishing the hat now.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's like, I just forgot how back at the house, when we all lived at our street, I would always be the first one to be like, when there were murmurings about us wanting people to leave, to hijack the speaker and play closing time so people would leave.
Yeah.
I could just sing it.
You know,
I could just sing it.
Jen and I, Jen and Hannah really had an operation of when we wanted everyone to leave. We're like, okay, we're going to start cleaning up. Like, you take this room, I'll take this. So that was a good one.
Spread it out.
What's astounding to me? That there was never a karaoke machine in that. We never sang karaoke in that house, and that was a great setup for it.
Oh, yeah. And we all had the energy and attitude to be singing karaoke in that house.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to be getting up to? / have been already getting up to?
I've been writing a lot lately. Because I've been getting back into writing as we've discussed.
Woohoo!
So this is the first time I've actually, and I've written, I say this sounds so much more highbrow until I clarify. I've written several like complete novels in my life. Most of them were in middle and high school. Most of them were atrociously terrible and have been lost probably on a flash drive I don't have access to anymore. Because it doesn't work. Very sad. But I do need to try and get that fixed. So stay tuned for progress. This is the first time I've ever actually plotted anything out.
Big step.
Game changer. I am like blowing through my goal is like, not this past weekend because I was at the wedding. My goal has been like 1,000 words a day. I've been blowing through 2,000 words a day easy. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. However, I now have 2 to 3 other ideas. So I'm like, I might just like, let's work on everything and see what sticks.
Yeah, why
because
not?
It's like, I'm young.
If
I like different genres. if I'm having fun,
if you have the energy, if you're doing it, which you are.
I have enough of a circle of friends to make different ones of you read different things.
Yes.
Which is big.
You have a group of friends with actually a very good variety of tastes specifically for your purposes.
Exactly. And when I write a cartoon cover romance novel and you're first on the list to read it.
Please.
But yeah. No, so it's been a lot of fun and I'm really enjoying it. And it also feels like something that's productive and is fixing my brain from the damage I've done having to use AI at work.
No, it's like how when you turn 70 and your doctors tell you that you need to start doing the crossword puzzle.
I've been doing the crossword puzzle.
Well, they won't tell you that.
Exactly. It's like I'm fixing my brain because I'm like, and as you are aware of in certain corporate environments, you don't really get a choice to whether or not you're using AI, even if you would prefer not to do it. So it's really nice to be like, wow, I'm actually using my brain and doing something that I love and am passionate about, which is writing and communicating.
Hooray.
So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, I've actually been plotting it out. So I'm like, wow, game changer in my ability to no longer get 3 chapters in and be like, oh, actually, this whole thing needs to change and then have to start over again.
Mm-hmm.
So we're almost to the point where we were when we started over like the first time.
Okay.
So big things happening.
Well, best of luck.
Thank you. And when I'm famous and there are podcasts talking about my books.
Can't wait.
Big day for our pod.
So true. Cross promotion.
Cross pod promotion. All right. I have something that I'm not reading that I would like to be reading.
Please.
Because we drove in Charlottesville. We drove past a Barnes & Noble. And it was very much giving the 97-year-old diner that still makes Coke the old-fashioned way. Because they are throwing a midnight release party for the new ACOTAR book, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is more broadly known as like the fairy porn book by Sarah J. Maas.
Mm-hmm.
And I the new books have not been out for a while. It's been like a pretty massive gap. I believe the last one came out in 2021.
It's been a long time.
And so at the time of that release, I had been caught up reading all of them. Now, of course, I remember 2 plot points that are not plot points, that are just sex scenes from the book. It comes out in October, so I proposed to Grace that we need to find our own Barnes & Noble having a midnight release party. I will speed run all of the others so that we can go.
The midnight release is a time-honored tradition that we as Americans have not been honoring lately.
No, and whether it is book or movie.
Anything. Yeah. Video game.
Everything.
Like, whatever. Like, I am fully in support of this.
Yes.
I am not going to continue reading ACOTAR because I read the first 2 and then stopped.
I will
put on a costume.
I will tell you vaguely and in very loose terms what happens in all of them.
Great. I'll just go to a Barnes & Noble at midnight and be with people that are excited and happy about something.
I wonder if the DC one is the massive one in Georgetown. Oh, we got to find this out.
That's genuinely something that I feel bad about for, I would say Gen Z, but like your Gen Z. So like people that are younger than us.
Yeah.
That you could not, as a teenager, have a space to be cringe. Like, it was so important to have that, like, we lived in the midnight release era where you could be cringe for stuff. And I think it's good for you.
And I was cringe for so much. And it wasn't like strangers taking pictures of you and putting it online and making fun of you.
Exactly. So,
the death of cringe, the death of the ability to be cringe.
I am so glad we're bringing that back.
I know. Well, we're cringe on this pod every week.
Hell yeah.
Not cringe. What are you reading? You're reading like an actual book of acclaim.
Yeah. I have a big update. And I love when I get to say this on the pod because you say it so much and I say it so little. I've read another book by a pod author.
Incredible.
Yes. And especially it means more now because you've been distracted by your YA reading. So you have not been on your rereading pod author game.
This could be a really
big catching up
for you to catch up.
But I read The Women by Kristen Hanna.
Which was my mom's alternative pick to The Frozen River for last season.
So we could have read that. We did not. Have you read it? I forget.
The Women. Yes, I did as an audiobook. And while I really liked the story, it was a bad audiobook choice because it's like a medical setting. It's like a lot of gore scenes.
No, a lot of it
it was rough.
It's disgusting. Yeah. So I did not like it as much as The Four Winds. Part of me thought that I was going to come out disliking it. I won't say that. There are good things and things I don't like.
Okay.
So I think the good things are, first of all, the subject matter. I think Kristen Hanna always chooses a very interesting topic to write her book about. This is about women who served in the Vietnam War. Mm-hmm. Her main characters are nurses.
Yes.
So she writes about the women, thus the title, and I think it's great. And I also think the structure of the book is really great, where it's long, it's almost 500 pages, but only the first 200 or so are in Vietnam, and the rest are her main character, Frankie, acclimating to life when she gets back.
Yeah.
And I think that was a great choice because it shows not only how hard it is for everyone to return from war as a veteran, but also specifically for her to be really rejected and turned away from opportunities and from support from the VA and from people in her life because of her gender.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that I didn't love so much about the book was I feel this is way more into detail than we normally go, but I have stuff to say, so I'm just going to say it. This was
almost a pod book, so I think
I'm saying, and your mom will want to hear. Exactly. So, hi Pam. I think that some of it was a little bit surface level.
Okay.
Like, I think that she could have communicated better. I totally believe that the women who were in Vietnam were, like, belittled and not supported and not included in veterans groups. Like, I totally believe that. But there's this reoccurring motif in the book where Frankie will be like, oh, I just got back from Vietnam, or like, I was in Vietnam. And people will tell her there were no women in Vietnam. And it just becomes repetitive to the point where it's not believable, especially because a lot of the people that say that to her were men who were in Vietnam. And it's
who would know?
You would have seen a nurse. Yeah. Like, you could be like, you know, if that man had been like, well, you weren't shooting a gun, sweet cheeks, then it'd be like, well, then yeah, that's probably what they said. But it was just a little,
I get that.
You know, I have now read 2 Kristen Hanna books, which is less than you've read, but it's still more than I had read before.
She has a lot of books that, like I said, I didn't like her, like, contemporary books nearly as much as her historical fiction. So I'm not going to continue. I think I've worked my way through all of, or most of her historical fiction.
Have you read The Nightingale?
Yep.
Is it as good as everyone says?
I really liked it. It was also my first Kristen Hanna. I think if it was not my first, I wouldn't have liked it as much as I did, because I think it's not, like, I think The Great Alone is my favorite Kristen Hanna.
And that's the Alaska one.
That's the Alaska one. Very sad read. But like, good. It has, like, a happy ending. The Great Alone, and then The Four Winds, and then probably Nightingale and the Women, but I really liked all of them, so it's not, like, that ranking really is not substantial.
And having read Four Winds and The Women, you could tell very clearly that they were written by the same person.
Yes.
So she could be one of those authors that I imagine that, like, for me, this is, like, a weird connection to make, but that's how I feel about Emily Henry, which is, like, there's not a lot of variety in the books just because the plots are super different, but her writing style is so distinctive.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, you feel kind of the same about all of them. There's, like, varying degrees, but the degrees don't vary that much.
Exactly. What I particularly like about her is I think she always finds, like, very interesting stories that you don't really hear about, because even The Nightingale was World War II, but, like, what happens in that story is, like, not something you think about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I think Kristen Hanna is among one of my top picks of pod authors for having consistently good books that I enjoy.
Beautiful.
So,
yeah. Next to Lisa C.
But Lisa C's are less unique. I mean, Lisa C and Kristen Hanna, I think, both do a phenomenal job picking stories to tell that, like, are interesting historical timepieces. Lisa C, I think you have more of the two best friends driven apart by a misunderstanding trope.
Kristen Hanna's books are like, let me explore this historical thing. Lisa C's books are like, let me do a character piece with the backdrop of this historical thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And neither is wrong. Neither is a wrong approach. I love both of them, but it's, you know, that's the difference.
Yeah. Let's talk about the approach to Frost Nixon.
Let's talk about the approach to how we're going to get into talking about the synopsis.
Exactly.
All right, synopsis time. By 1972, Richard Nixon had ended the Vietnam War, speaking of the women, achieved diplomatic breakthroughs with Russia and China, presided over a period of economic stability at home, and was on the verge of a landslide re-election. ... Until he decided to cover up a third-rate burglary.
Is doing a lot of work.
That's such a drag. Like, just how that sentence is written, such a drag.
Also, not to interrupt you, normally I save my thoughts on the synopsis for the end. We don't need any of this.
No.
I am well aware who Richard Nixon is.
You will see why I had to put the second paragraph in, because this first one is just a summary of Nixon.
Okay.
Watergate was one of the largest scandals in American history, and also a GW dorm building for a time. And 2 years later, Nixon would resign the presidency, but with neither an admission of guilt nor any sign of remorse. In a drama, quote, as thought-provoking as it is gripping and entertaining, quote, by Charles Spencer from the Daily Telegraph, Peter Morgan examines how a British Playboy talk show host managed what no other journalist or prosecutor could, to extract a confession from our most notorious statesman. Now, does the statement, our most notorious statesman, still hold? I don't know. But
maybe not anymore, but he was pretty notorious for a while.
He was, but it's just interesting because this was written in, 2008, 2006? So it's like the framing of it now is like, oh my god, this massive scandal. And I'm like, what Trump does any given day is like so much worse.
Yeah.
I couldn't get that. And that is no fault of the play. It was simply written at a time when that was very much true. I just would no longer really think of him as our most notorious anymore.
No.
But he was the big bad in America for a long time. Anyways, Peter Morgan.
You have big stuff to tell me about Peter Morgan.
I did not know how prolific and how important to us Peter Morgan is. So he is an award-winning British film and television screenwriter and playwright. Frost Nixon, I think, has the movie, which I have not seen, has kind of surpassed the fame of the play.
Absolutely. It was hard for me to find stuff about the play because he also wrote the movie and it has the same title.
I think when I get into historical accuracy, I think it's mostly talking about the movie, but it's
the play.
Whatever. First of all, he went to the University of Leeds.
Where I am going.
So big, first of all. He's best known for his historical films and plays, including Frost Nixon, The Queen, Rush, and The Damned United. He is also the creator of The Crown on Netflix. More importantly, he wrote the screenplay of The Other Boleyn Girl. I was gagged when I found that out.
This is so important.
He is Pod Legacy. I really have nothing about him, just what he worked on, so I really know very little about him. But he is Pod Legacy. What do you think he thought of The Other Boleyn Girl? Did he have the same opinion of, wow, they really just said, yeah, let's make her do everything? Everything she was accused of was true?
I think so. I think he read the book and he was like, we're gonna fucking go for it.
He's like, we're gonna hire Andrew Garfield and give him no lines.
And cut all his scenes where he's being gay.
But I was in like, I did a double take. Like, I had to be like, is this the same guy? I was in shock because this is just so, I mean, his specialty is like historical dramatizations, I suppose.
Well, shoot. And he's doing a good job.
So we had already been exposed to his work. I think that was back in the days before I had Letterboxd, though, so I don't think I can go back.
Sad.
We have to go back and listen to the episode to see what we thought. The bonus episode. But yeah, little did we know we had already encountered Peter Morgan, and he created The Crown.
Wow. Good for him.
Anyways, fun fact from IMDb, he is Helen Mirren's, quote, good luck charm because he wrote The Queen, which she won her first Best Actress Oscar for, and also The Audience, which she won her first Tony for.
Oh.
So that's kind of massive. For this play and the movie, it won 1 Tony for Best Performance by a Leading Actor in a Play, Frank Langella.
Oh, yeah.
Who I think he was in the movie version as well.
Was he Frost?
I didn't look
Nixon?
it up. Did not look that up.
I'll look it up.
Okay. And it was nominated for Best Motion Picture in the 2008 Oscars, with Ron Howard directing the movie.
Okay, he was Nixon. Frank Langella was Nixon.
Okay.
And Michael Sheen was Frost.
Oh.
It's a big movie.
Yeah. Well, exciting. I do really want to see the movie just because from what I understand, the movie follows very closely with the play.
And it feels like it would be a good movie.
I think we have a lot of ones this season, which unfortunately means we can't really do bonus episodes on them because they're going to be good movies.
Yeah.
But a lot of movies I'm coming out of this wanting to see.
Yeah.
I would ask you if you're familiar with Peter Morgan, but apparently you are intimately familiar with him, as am I.
Apparently we are.
So
Thank you, Peter.
That was my discovery of the day, and I was very excited about that. But also The Crown is huge, too. Like,
I know. Good for him.
Insane.
Great guy. Fantastic.
Insane.
Great career.
And he went to the University of Leeds.
Love it.
So I added that as a note because I couldn't remember where you were going for the wedding, but I thought it was Leeds. So
it is Leeds.
As soon as you said, if you said you were going somewhere else, I was going to cut that line. Anyways, our judgments come based on the play and characters within the play rather than any real historical figures they may have been based on, which was definitely the case, although I didn't really look into any of, like, the character. You'll see when I get to historical accuracy.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I could have gone down 100 rabbit holes, and I didn't want to, because I was doing this in the car while hungover.
And it's also one of those things, it's like, everyone knows about Watergate. Like,
exactly.
We know what it is.
At least, we're assuming our audience does.
And you should.
Which I think is a fair assumption if you our audience is mostly American, decently educated individuals who should have studied a little bit of history.
Yeah.
Anyways, spoilers ahead.
I love this.
I could have had such a bad time with this because I did read this mostly on my 5-hour train delay coming back from New York, which I talked about several weeks ago. I loved it. I didn't like it to begin with. I thought I was going to hate it.
Well, because it starts with one of the things that you don't like.
And this was the example of a stellar fourth wall break.
Fourth wall break!
By that, I mean throughout the play, not just one singular fourth wall break. Stellar.
No, I agree. I think this is a great way to do it. And also the style of the play lends itself to fourth wall break.
Yeah.
So it's side characters talking to the audience.
Yes.
It's one of the researchers that they have on the Frost team, and then one of Nixon's, like, chief of staff.
Yeah, so they have a guy from each side, right?
Yeah. And for those who don't know, from the synopsis, you know, the David Frost, TV journalist, interviewing Nixon after he resigned the presidency.
And that was a little bit of, like, Frost's kind of break, because as it said, he was kind of, like, just doing, like, morning talk shows in Australia, essentially. And this kind of was,
legitimized him.
Yes, very much legitimized him.
Yeah. And let me tell you, I am, you know, young enough that I had not heard of this before. I was not familiar with the Frost at all.
I didn't know, like, who Frost was, but I was like, I knew there were, like, big TV interviews.
Yeah, I didn't actually, like, so I had no idea that even happened. And so as I was reading the play, anyone who's familiar with them will obviously know that, like, they were amazingly successful. But I was getting worried. I was like, I don't know if you can pull this off, my guy.
I got nervous.
No, because it's like, he really Hail Married it at the final hour and then made it work. Because the whole thing, it's like, he spent too much money on the rights. He was paying Nixon up front, which then people found out about and they got mad. They recorded several sessions and then Nixon completely outmaneuvered him on all of them.
Because Nixon was a very intelligent person.
Absolutely.
So he could talk his way out of a lot.
It's like currently there's, like, been cropping up news stories the past couple weeks where Republicans are getting worried because they can find, like, young staffers that are, like, loyal to their ideas, or they can find ones that are smart, but they can't find both.
I read one of those earlier this week.
Nixon was evil and smart.
Yeah.
Which is how he could pull off all of his shit all the time.
So, and the issue was, like, Frost wasn't really, at the time, used to
hard-hitting questions.
Exactly. So he would ask something and then let Nixon talk for, like, 25 and just eat up the time.
It's like how
himself sound good.
It's like if Nixon was going to go on Call Her Daddy.
It's like us when we have a cocktail corner episode.
Oh my, we just say shit for hours and hours, yes.
And you could see, like, his Frost team, like, trying to be like, you need to, like, lock in.
Yeah.
And he just was getting trampled over for a lot of it.
Yeah. And so I feel like that lends itself to the fourth wall breaking in combination with my next thing that I really loved about it, which was it was quick.
Yeah.
It was snappy and fast.
It was witty, too.
It was really witty. And I wrote down, I don't think we read a play like this that has been fast-paced except for Amadeus, or since Amadeus.
Yeah.
We've had a long slog of ones in the middle that were, like, in paragraphs.
I don't even remember most of the middle ones at this point.
And then we've had ones that were great plays, but we could not say, like, quick scene changes. Like, you can't say that about The Mountaintop. You can't say that about Sunday in the Park with George.
Yep.
This is, like, a really, witty is a really good word. Like, it's a clever, intelligent play. And so all of that, like, the pacing, the devices, the, like, point in time that they chose to focus on, which is fairly narrow, like, it's taut. It's written and crafted taut. It's just well done.
The other thing I thought was interesting is that I don't want to use the word moralizing because it's like what Nixon did was bad. Like, we know, like, this is an agreed upon point.
Yeah.
But it kind of has those, like, I wrote down a quote spoken in the fourth wall break. Today, his name continues to be synonymous with corruption and disgrace, and his most lasting legacy is that any political wrongdoing is immediately given the suffix "gate."
Yeah.
So you had those, like, kind of hard-hitting lines, but still worked without, like the moralization of that worked really well.
Yeah. I'm not going to say you necessarily got a lot of interiority on Nixon, because, you know, this is just not a play that's about interiority, really. But you did get a very interesting perspective on what life was like for Nixon and that immediate aftermath, which is interesting because it's like you're the most powerful man in the world and now you're just not.
Yeah.
Like, and he could clearly, like, the Nixon in the play clearly garnered so much joy from, like, the negotiation with Frost on if he was going to do it and how much he was going to get and what they were going to talk about, because it was just like an inkling of what he had when he was president.
Yeah.
And clearly the real life Nixon, I'll go out on a limb to say this, was a guy who, like, chased power.
Yep.
And you could see that in Peter Morgan's interpretation of him here.
Yeah. I agree with that completely. You get a little bit of interiority because there's that whole scene where he, like, drunkenly calls Frost and they have, like, an emotional moment on the phone.
That was very good.
That was a very, very well-written scene. I liked that. It really added to, like, both of the characterizations of the two men who are both the central characters and also not, because you have the people speaking to the audience who are more central.
Yeah.
So it's just an interesting setup that the play's about them, but not.
Yeah.
I thought, same with kind of what I was saying with that, like, the moral pieces of it, I thought thematically it was really great, of, like, exactly what you were saying, like, this was an inkling of power for Nixon. The idea of politics and showbiz kind of being one and the same.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, something you see since the rise of showbiz in America. It is certainly a theme today. It has
Absolutely.
been a theme. It's so interesting that the focus is on Nixon in the interview because he is famously horrible on TV.
Yes.
Because
and he references that in the play.
He references that because, and I was also reading this during the heat dome in DC. Ugh. So I'm like, Nixon would never survive this heat dome because he was very sweaty. And that was a lot of why it was like, that was a lot of the idea of potentially why he lost out to JFK, who was this young, handsome man, it was like one of the first, like, televised interviews, and Nixon didn't do any makeup and he just, like, looked a mess and was sweating so much. So I really appreciated that reference, but it goes to say, like, politics and showbiz matter.
Yes. And you could see both characters having to do both and kind of fumbling at different points of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Frost almost completely ruins, like, his whole setup. Like, he knows and is correct instinctively that the idea of having these tell-all interviews with Nixon could really pay off for him in terms of his reputation and his finances. But it's his execution that puts that in jeopardy. So you can see that, like, you know, they're skills that are intrinsically linked, but they're two separate things, to be a politician and an entertainer.
Yes.
And you have to be good at both.
Yes, you do. Yeah, no, so I thought thematically, like, this was great.
I do have one qualm.
Okay.
And it was not a big qualm, but I did think it immediately. And that is that one of the characters in this play is Caroline Cushing, who is a real person, who was David Frost's girlfriend at the time. And she did not need to be in this play.
I agree. This is something I didn't write it down in historical accuracy because I don't think it was like, I don't care. But one of the things I did find was that in the play they met on a plane randomly. They had been together, like, longer. But I think it really adds, like, the character just was not. I think they just wanted a woman.
I was going to say.
And by that I mean Peter Morgan.
I was going to say, it gives me the vibe of, there's a certain genre of male writer, and I think I've said this in the pod before, so I won't go into detail about it, where it's like they put women in their work, and it's like, I would prefer if you just didn't even try. Like, you don't need to have a woman in everything. Like,
Paulo Coelho in his book was about a woman.
No, I'm like, if you can't do it, like, but you're a fantastic artist, like, it's okay with me if you just don't try. But you told me that he clearly, like, can write women because he's the creator of The Crown and stuff.
So I'm not
going to bring up the other Boleyn girl because that's not a good treatment of women, but it's not a good treatment of men either.
It's not a good treatment of anyone, and I really think Philippa Gregory is to blame, not Peter Morgan.
No, she is.
He was working with it's like how everyone thinks Kristen Stewart is a bad actress because of Twilight, but she was playing the character as written.
Yeah, so maybe in this case, he was just like, I'm going to include her because she was a real person, and that'll be interesting. Or maybe the producers were like, we need to have an actress in this play.
Yeah.
I don't know. But she was so pointless. She didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Truly, like, none of the plot points involved her.
No.
Like, there's one point where Nixon tells Frost, and I did think this was funny, that they should get married because she was from Monaco, and he's like, there's no taxes there. So, like, that was funny.
That was funny, too, because that's just such a subtle way to show, like, Nixon's still scheming.
That's
like,
just what he is, yeah. I liked, there was some humor in this play. It's not a comedy, but it's like, there were enough jokes that, like, it could get nominated in the Golden Globes under the comedy category and people would be mad about it, like The Bear.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I really like, there's like this through line joke about Frost wearing these Italian shoes, and Nixon really likes the shoes, and his chief of staff is like, I don't know, I think they look kind of gay, basically. And poor Nixon is like, oh, yeah, totally. Like, I don't even want those
Frost
shoes.
Buys him a pair of the shoes.
And then Frost gives him a pair of the shoes after he's humiliated him on TV. So, like, stuff like that was, like, minor and funny. And it just works because of the wit. Like, you know, because it's a smart play.
It was also kind of funny because, like, right as we were about to, like, right as I started to look at some of the stuff the other day to do some research, we were watching the BoJack Horseman episode where they break into the Nixon Presidential Library to film the scene for Secretariat.
Oh my gosh.
So that was a lot of fun for me, personally.
Yes, and there's the character who is, like, Nixon's bastard son. Who, to be clear, he did not have, as far as I know.
As far as we know. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. So that was fun. Also, I can talk about this in very loose terms, but at my previous job, I was involved with the, like, video production and filming. And why was it more stressful to film our executives than it was to film Nixon?
Oh my god.
I'm like, Nixon just seems so easy. Like, yeah, he was sweaty and yeah, he would, like, out-talk you in an interview, but he seems so easy to set up with.
It's because it was easy for the guy who was on their team, who was the guy who talked to the audience, because he hated Nixon.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, we need to get a guy on the team who knows a lot about Nixon and is going to, like, go hard. And they get this guy who's like, I've written 4 books about how much Nixon sucks. I forget his name. I don't remember. Reston. You're so smart.
Reston, because I was reading it and I said, do we think Reston, Virginia is named for this guy? And then I said,
no, probably
never
not.
Looked into it.
No, I think Reston, Virginia was around before that.
You know, maybe. Who knows?
All right. Should we talk about historical accuracy now, or do you have any more points to make?
No, historical accuracy is good. So my research was, I found some articles that, like, took some interesting standpoints on this play in terms of historical accuracy.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different, I would say.
Interesting.
So these interviews, just for background, were originally broadcast in May 1977. It was a series of interviews between Sir David Frost, who was a sir at some point in his life, and Richard Nixon, diving into Nixon's controversies, primarily Watergate. There were some dramatic liberties taken. Nixon never drunkenly called Frost. Like, I think we assumed that. Never. Yes. One I found that was interesting was from a magazine on media ethics, and I just pulled one quote. It was very late in the article. I didn't read the whole thing, but it was about Frost Nixon. But I thought this was very interesting, and it was an issue from a media ethics standpoint with the historical accuracy. Indeed, from the standpoint of media ethics, Frost Nixon raising concerns not only about the melding of historical facts with artistic fictions, but also about the portrayals of political journalists as intrepid watchdogs and reporters of corruption.
So do they have a problem with that?
Yeah, because they said, like, and I think it's, the point I'm going to draw now was not mentioned in this article, but I think we see this now because, like, remember when Biden was in office and every single journalist was like, oh my God, he's so old. There's all these problems with him. He's so old. He can't do the job. And now we have Trump passed out at every meeting he's in and no one ever reports on it. So it's like, journalists don't always necessarily, like, they should be watchdogs. They should be, but are they always?
I see your point.
Like, it's a matter of, like, is this always the case, you know? Because journalists, unfortunately, have something in it for themselves as well. Mm-hmm. Kind of with what we talked about very loosely with Sunday in the Park with George. It's interesting that we had talked there about, like, the commentary on, like, commercialization of art and they need money and fundraising. And a lot of times journalists are probably prohibited from really being these watchdogs because of, you know, Jeff Bezos owns Washington Post. Mm-hmm. You know, who's owning these companies, who's controlling the stories that are actually getting out there. Ugh. So I just thought that was an interesting perspective. It was not something I would have considered. But I thought that was an interesting critique of the accuracy in this.
Oh, that is interesting.
Another article from The Guardian was about the movie, but again, I'm going to take it as pretty 1-to-1. And they gave it a C+ rating for historical accuracy. So they brought up, you know, the drunken scene, his girlfriend, like a couple other things. Mm-hmm. But they had an interesting quote. The film's brilliant screenplay, direction, and performances capture Frost and especially Nixon extraordinarily well. And while it takes a few liberties with the facts, it doesn't take as many as Nixon did himself.
See, there you go.
So it's like, at the end of the day, like, yes, it took liberties, but, like...
I agree with him. I totally agree.
I think that's a fair summation. I thought that point about media ethics was also very interesting. And it kind of like makes the journalist seem probably like a more just cause than, you know, David Frost was in this for his reputation. He was in it for a paycheck, you know?
Definitely.
So he had incentive to take this angle. It would have been different had his, you know, incentive been different. So I just thought that was interesting to consider. Yeah, I didn't really look into Watergate at all. I didn't really look into any of the side characters or David Frost. I did read one thing on David Frost. He died at sea. He had a heart attack, but somewhere between England and Portugal. And I'm like, but he was very old.
Okay, well that's good.
He was born in like the 30s, and that was like 2013.
Okay.
But yeah, I was like, died at sea. You don't hear that much.
No, you really don't.
But so this was maybe not my best historical accuracy research, but I did think it was the
quite
most
interesting.
Yeah, it's a different perspective to look into.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Yeah, you know, I would say let's go to our star calculator. It is still broken, so we're gonna
go to our regular calculator.
And our categories are historical accuracy, originality, characters, prose, and vibes.
We made it.
We did it. Okay, I'll go first. Historical accuracy. I'm gonna go 3 because I think mostly it was very accurate. Although, like the media ethics standpoint, I think was probably not enough to deter me to a lower ranking. What's deterred me to a lower ranking is that the one drunken phone call scene was kind of like the emotional pivot point of the show, and that was made up.
Yeah.
So that one. Originality. I'm going to go 5. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed hearing about this. It was a very narrow window to work with. And I thought how fourth wall breaks were used were just very, very good here. So I don't know where to put that, so I'll put that here. Characters, I'm going to go 5 as well. I didn't take as much issue with Caroline as you did, so I assume that's going to lower your ranking a little bit. But I really enjoyed it. I thought all the characters were very quick, and I liked reading about them. Prose? I'll go 4. I mean, it was good. Actually, no, I'm going to go 5. I lied. Because I did have some lines that stood out to me, like the one I quoted. Yeah, I thought it was, I really enjoyed it. And then vibes, that's a 5. If it can get me through a 5-hour train delay, shit, I'm sold. And that's a 4.6, and I gave this a 4.5.
All right, so for me, historical accuracy, I'm going to go 4. I feel like the phone call is really the only thing that I want to ding points for. Mm-hmm. So the rest of it, I'm perfectly happy with. Artistic licensee, you know, whatever. Originality, I think I agree with you about the 5. Like, my instinct was not to go 5, but I can't really think of a reason not to go 5. So, characters, you're right. I am going to go 4, but that's really because, like, Caroline didn't annoy me enough probably to ding a whole point just because of that character, but it's because it was really the only glaring thing that I disliked about the play, period.
Yeah.
So I've got to take it from somewhere. But prose and vibes are both 5s for me. So that is also a 4.6. And I'm pretty sure I also gave this a 4.5.
I think we did. We had the same rating.
Yeah. So I think that's a 5.
This is a 5. As you also pointed out immediately after we stopped filming last week's episode, we didn't officially declare Sunday in the Park. I declared a 5.
Fine leaning 5 for me.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Two high scores in a row.
2 hits.
Are we going to keep the trend going, or are we throwing away our shot at another 5?
That's right, folks. For the season 6 season finale,
woo!
We are reading Hamilton.
And are we reading Hamilton, or did I just find us a PDF of the lyrics? We don't know. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll discuss that more next week.
All right. And until then, make sure you're following us on Instagram and Twitter, _pod for all the latest updates and releases. And you got one more week to join the Storygraph reading challenge. Actually, you have forever weeks.
Because we don't take them down.
We don't take them down. But if you want to have at hand and ready to go for when we make you all listen to our full season ranking next week, you need to subscribe.
Absolutely. And if there's anything that you would like us to read for future seasons as season 6 comes to a close, please fill out the recommendation form in the bio of our social media, or you can just send us an email at fiverfloppodcast@gmail.com.
Until next time.
Happy reading.
Bye.